Okay, so we have our first announcement popping up in the view. The next thing I want to do is set up a system where we can have several different announcements take place as the player keeps pressing the button over here on the wall. So I'm going to jump back over here into Kismet. Let's go ahead and disconnect our play announcement. I'll just hold down the Alt key and click on the input for our play announcement, and we'll slide this guy out of the way. Now let's come up with a few different things that our little announcement system could say. So I'm going to grab our little node we have here, hold down Control, hit C, and then V, so that I just copied and pasted. And then I'll paste in, let's say, just a few more copies. So I have 5 total. All right, so the first one basically says that this will not turn on the lights. And then let's do the next one. Let's say, please leave this switch alone. And then the next one will say, the light switch is behind you by the door. And let's do the next one. Let's say, I'm warning you. I love that. Reminds me of Tron. I'm such a geek. Okay, now let's grab play announcement, and the last one will be, okay, comma, have it your way. And we'll just put an ellipse at the end of that. Okay, so we have these 5 things that we want to cycle through, but the question becomes, how do we cycle through them? Well, previously, we used a switch to toggle between the on and off states of our material, and we can also use a switch to cycle through all of these different announcements. So I'm going to right-click, go to New Action, and choose a switch, and we'll just choose a regular switch. Now, obviously, we do not have enough links, so go ahead and take your link count and set that from 1 up to 5. And now we can just plug each one of these in. So link 1 goes to our first announcement, and so on all the way down. And the nature of this switch is such that the first time we get an input, it'll send a signal out to link 1, then link 2, then link 3, then 4, then 5. So we get everybody played back one after the other. Now I'm going to drag out from the used into this switch, and our switching system is now in place. Let's give this just a quick test. And I didn't rebuild lighting before I started this video. But you'll notice now, as I keep pressing the E key, we're getting different messages. Now here's a problem. There's just one little quick thing we could fix. If the player were to run up to this switch and just hammer the E key, watch what happens. You get a whole bunch of annoying repetitive sounds, the messages kind of stack up in the queue, and you don't even get to read them all. So just in case somebody wanted to just go up and just flick the daylight out of that switch, it would be nice if we could force the player to have to slow down a bit. And the way we're going to do that is by putting a retrigger delay on our actual trigger event. So if we select the event and scroll way down in its properties, at the bottom you'll see a retrigger delay currently set to 0. That means you can use this trigger as fast as you can press the E key. We're going to pull that back to a 3-second delay. That means the first time that this trigger is used, the trigger then immediately becomes useless for the next 3 seconds. After that, you can use it again, and then it's useless for another 3 seconds. So let's try this. Let's go ahead and close out. Right-click and play from here. Now, I can spam the E key as fast as I want, and it doesn't matter. We've got to wait 3 seconds. So that means that the player is going to see that message pop up in the view. All right, so that takes care of switching through multiple messages. There's one more thing I want to do, though. We've got the "okay, have it your way" message. Let's add a message to this. Let's say right after that's said, the next thing we want is for another one to pop up where the system says, "but don't say we didn't warn you." So I'm going to take our little play announcement and copy-paste it again, place this just beneath, and let's go ahead and change the text. So I'll continue with our little ellipse and say, but don't say we didn't warn you. Exclamation point at the end of that. Now, I'm just going to take the output of my play announcement and plug that into the new play announcement. But there's a problem with doing this, and I'd like to go ahead and demonstrate. So let's jump in real quick, and we'll just wait through this one. So there's our first message, second message, third message. We're giving plenty of time for these to fade out, which is nice. Now watch this. See, they both come in at the same time, and the two sound effects kind of stack up one after the other, which is no good. We need some sort of a delay in between those two announcements. To add that, we could add a delay sequence object. There actually is a sequence object specifically for that, but because we're going to be using a static and unchanging delay, what I'm going to do instead is take the output of our play announcement, right-click on it, and from the menu that pops up, you can choose Set Activate Delay. This is kind of like an inline delay. It doesn't require a note of its very own. This can be put on any output or input, and it can be very useful. So let's set this to 2 seconds. So now we're going to delay the output to this next announcement by 2 seconds. And just to kind of speed the process up, what I'm going to do is come back over to my trigger and temporarily we'll set the retrigger delay back down to 0 just for testing purposes. Now let's come back up to our little switch. So this is just so I can kind of fast forward through this. So we're to the last one when we use this, and then we wait 2 seconds, and it fires off the next one, which is perfect. All right, now there's only one last thing I want to add, which is going to be an announcement that the self-destruct sequence has been initiated. So I'll take my play announcement, we'll copy that off one more time, just like we did before. Connect this back in, and let's just type into our announcement text self-destruct sequence initiated. Now we'll take the output of this and we're actually going to delay this by 3 seconds. So let's right click, go to Set Activate Delay. 3 seconds. You know what? It's bugging me. We're going to reverse that. I'm going to take my initial delay and we'll set that one to 3 seconds. And this one I'm only going to set to 2 seconds. So we'll give this one final test to kind of get all the timing down, because you can adjust this to whatever timing you prefer. So we'll fast forward to the end. Now here's what we get. Have it your way. But don't say we didn't warn you. Self-destruct sequence. Okay, that's perfect. That's what I'm going to go with. So now the last thing I'm going to do, just to kind of clean my mess up, is take my retrigger delay, set that back up to 3, and that will wrap it up for this portion of our Kismet sequence. So go ahead and save your level, and then we'll continue in the next level. And this time I really will build lighting before the next video.
Kismet.